Once again, good evening, Dhamma friends. And today is Vesak Eve. I think many viharas, they continue their, they have their own programs on that kind of day. It's very interesting to see all of you. And we are going to discuss about the third noble truth, which is going to be our class day number 16. So we have, I guess, only 4 more days to finish this sutta, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. And I hope that we can have a review probably by the end of day 20, in mostly 4 more days. All right, so let's pay respect to the Buddha and then get started. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I can see brother Ang also there. I see you too, everybody. All right, so let's go to the sutta and then see where we left off from the sutta. Okay. So the third noble truth starts from 40. You can see here. Yeah. Idang ko pana bhikkhave dukkha nirodhang arya satcha. Now this month is the noble truth of dukkha nirodha. Call it cessation, end, cessation. And arya means noble, satcha means truth. So now the Buddha is going to teach the end of the dukkha. I would say the cessation of the dukkha. I think making a bridge to the previous lesson in layman's language, you probably might have heard these things all the time. How do we understand dukkha? The cause of the dukkha. The cause of the dukkha is always with the state of feeling, isn't it? This is what we will learn. That means if we can understand our feeling, then we are very good to minimize our craving. So, and at the same time, we are able to minimize our temptation. As unenlightened beings, you probably might not think to end at a certain point before you getting ready for this kind of formal ending. But if you understand the state of your feeling, that will be a very good point to minimize your craving. That is how we understand this at a practical level. Now, let's say you understand your own feeling, the differences between different feelings, and you are not going to get caught up with any, I would say, particular feeling, and you understand what it is. Then what is going to happen is that you are at least able to understand the moment of extinguishment. Before we go into this particular Pali sections about the third noble truth, let me put it into a very easy, probably simple understanding. Can you think about a moment where you were highly tempted, but at the same time, you have been able to probably minimize that temptation. Probably you are not going to put that temptation into play, into practice. You know that this is a temptation and you are not going to let it happen. I think we all even lay people as you may have experienced a lot of moments as such. So think about that kind of moment and the peace that you may have had after that. You won't see the peace at the same time. So the third noble truth, which we understand by the Nibbana, is the higher state of that mind, can be understood from a layman's maybe simple level of our understanding as a kind of a minimal peace that we are creating in our life. So we can create that peace. Let's say you have been very angry about something, but you are not going to take it to the next level. You are trying to take some time not to work on it, not to let it grow. And the peace you are creating in that process is a kind of we call it an extinguishment, kind of a Nibbana. It is not the higher state of Nibbana, the higher state of Nibbana, but it is a sort of Nibbana. Now I will tell you how this can work in the notes, but as I given in the notes. But before that, let's see the sections over here once again. Okay, this is how the Buddha explains the Nibbana in the highest form of explanations. Yo tassa yeva tanha. What tanha? This tanha. Kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava. Yo tassa eva tanha. Asesa means remainderless. There's no residue. There's no anything left from that tanha. There's a state of mind where someone can enter into without any residue, without any what you call remainder. It's called viraga nirodha, remainderless fading away. Viraga and raga. Raga means, what does raga mean? R long A G A, raga. Raga means pleasure, right? It's a pleasure. There are many other translations, and I would say sensual pleasure. And viraga means the entire opposite of that raga. So it's the remainderless viraga of that particular tanha, where someone can enter into the Nibbana. And it is further explained. Same craving means kama, bhava, vibhava. What are the further explanations about the Nibbana with regard to tanha? Chago, patinissaggo, mukti, analaya. Now the Pali word chaga is a very popular word. A lot of people know this Pali word with regard to dana. Right? Dana is giving, but chaga means giving up. So what does someone give up in terms of that's a third noble truth? One has to give up that craving, kama, bhava, vibhava, whatever the craving, one has to give up. Now normally we are creating tanha. We are creating tanha. We are always creating kama tanha. We are always creating bhava tanha. We want to be reborn in different places. And even many people who go to certain meritorious activities, they are always saying, I want more merits to be reborn as a good person, probably as a deva. So even the journey that someone spends in a vihara also sometimes can be a total journey of creating bhavata. Sometimes, not all the people. So we had to be careful. I mean, we can do all these activities, but we had to do them without falling onto these types of tanha. Then vibhava tanha means thinking that there is no life hereafter, after I pass away. So this can lead to a certain misunderstanding of the morality, I would say, can do harm to other people because there's no next life. So thinking that there's no life, it is also a sort of tanha, because then in this particular life, someone can create a lot of akusalas. So kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. These three types of tanha need to be given up. So the first thing that you have to do, you have to think about is to give up. Give up these three things. Then pati nissagga. Pati nissagga means you are release. Nissagga means release. Pati nissagga means you are going to relinquish. You are not trying to amass. You are not trying to pile up. You are not trying to build up them. Please don't misunderstand in a way that kama tanha means you cannot enjoy karmas. You can still enjoy karmas, right? You can do certain things for your bhava. But the problem is when some people are thinking that I want to create a certain greed towards my own karmas. I want to create certain greed towards the next life. I want to sort of create a certain greed towards not becoming in the next life. This is how you are going to bring up your normal state of mind into a tanha. Because that day we learn, lobha is a primary state of mind about tanha. Then lobha leads you to tanha. Whatever is kama, bhava, tanha, vibhava, tanha. So the first thing you are going to do is you are going to give up all of these three tanhas. At the same time, you are going to relinquish. You are not trying to amass, build up them onto you. And mutti. Mutti means freedom. When you are so much caught up with karmas, when you are so much caught up with the next life and what is happening to me, when you are so much caught up with thinking that there is no next life, then what is happening is that you are not free. You are bounded by karmas, bhava, and vibhava. You need to release, you need to free you from these tanhas. That is how you are creating peace on that, mukti. And then, what do you call, analayo. Analayo. What does analayo means? Analayo means reliance. What do you call, alayo means reliance. Analayo means you are not going to depend on these tanhas. You are going to go beyond these tanhas. Your reliance is on understanding how does tanha work in your life. Not that you are going to depend on your own tanha. Right? If you look at this life, you see that many people, they are carried away by their own tanha. They are highly relied on their tanha. They don't know whether they are relied. They are already relied. So you need to go beyond that reliance and dependence. Right? Actually, you need to be independent from all these tanhas and then to understand what it is. So giving up chaga, you have to do a couple of things in terms of understanding the what do you call these tanha. You have to chaga, give up of tanha. Patinissagga, relinquish, release or relinquish all these tanhas, and free from these tanhas and non-rely on these tanhas. Right? So this is called Nibbana. Once you are doing properly at a certain point of your sansaric journey, you'll be able to attain Nibbana. Let's say you are not going to make it in this life, at least you have the understanding, the Nibbana. You may be perhaps a Sotavan. All right, so please pay more attention to these Pali words. Asesa means remainderless. Viraga means dispassion. I would say the opposite of raga. Nirodha means cessation or ending. And these four are the activities that you have to do. First activity, second. I think I have to do. I erase this part probably to show you better. Okay. This is the first activity you're gonna do. Charm. This is the second activity you have to do. Patinissa. Third activity, supposed to. Mukti. This is the fourth activity you have to do. That means chaga, patinissagga, mukti, and chaga means give up of all the tanha. Patinissagga means relinquish or abandon or probably release of tanha. Mutti means free from all these tanhas. Analayo means do not ever depend on them. Once you depend on the tanha, you never know where you're going to end up in your life. Right? Normally in this life, willingly or unwillingly, noticeably or unnoticeably, people have been depending on kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. So they can think about uh, how to be independent from these tanhas, not to be dependent on these tanhas and then uh, be led by tanha onto a big mess in their life. All right, let's go to the notes at this point for today. Today's day 16, and for it 16. See? Okay. Yeah, 16. So today we are going to discuss about the third noble truth once again. This is what we are going to now discuss. The third noble truth, how do we call it in Pali? Dukkha Nirodha Arya Satya. Dukkha Nirodha Arya Satya. Now the first one is Dukkha Arya Satya. Second one, Dukkha Samudaya Arya Satya. Third one, Dukkha Nirodha Arya Satya. The fourth one, Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada Arya Satya. Now we have to think about a couple of things over here. Dukkha, 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 dukkha. Why it was given as, why can there be 4, 5 truths in our life? Well, there's only one truth. According to the teachings of the Buddha, there should be one truth. The only truth that is prevailing in this sansaric life is dukkha. But dukkha does not simply mean suffering. Dukkha means a dissatisfaction, unsatisfactoriness, and then not being able to understand this dissatisfaction is the dukkha. It is not the dissatisfaction that is dukkha. It is not being able to understand the dissatisfaction is the dukkha. Now, even if you take a look at your day, since morning till evening, you may perhaps think that things have been happening. You get up and then you are doing your house chores and you are doing other things with your family members. Now it has been almost 8:50, probably 9. How many? I mean, if things go well, it should be okay. I mean, if things don't go well, then you might feel that you are not happy about certain people, certain members of the family, certain activities that have been happening in your household, maybe certain calls that you receive from your other people, close beloved ones. So why is the dissatisfaction arising? It is because that you haven't paid enough attention to understand dissatisfaction. It's not that dissatisfaction prevails. It is because that you have not given enough understanding, enough time to understand dissatisfaction. Then only your life becomes very happy. One very good example, there is somebody in your household who is always trying to make a problem maker. And you're not happy about whatever the things he or she does. When a simple thing that he or she says. Every day you are trying to look at this person in a perfectionist way. You should not talk like this. And in regard to yesterday, maybe last month, you shouldn't have talked like that. You shouldn't have behaved like that. I'm the only one who is doing the house job, but you haven't been doing it. And you can't change that person as well. You always think about things are not happening the way you want. But one day you understand this particular person can't be changed. He can't change by himself. She can't change by herself. But I'm very much worried about what's happening in my household. So I make up my mind. I try to understand this dissatisfaction. And the moment you understand that dissatisfaction, you having a nibbanic moment. You having a temporary, instant kind of nibbanic moment. This is the nibbanic moment I'm talking over here. Do we have Nibbanic moments before Nibbana. Yes, this is interesting. We have lots of Nibbanic moments that have been happening in our life. Even you can say the moment that you were very peaceful, you go to a place that you feel very happy. You can also think about a moment that you were really, uh, enjoying the time in a peaceful way. They are Nibbanic moments. So the Pali word Nibbana has two, I would say, two uh, parallels. One is Nibbana. Nibbana. You could say this word, extinguishment. And the other one is the past participle of the Nibbana. What is it? Nibbūti. What is it? Nibbūti. Nibbūti means, let's see here. Nibbūta. Nibbūti means someone who has already been peaceful, blown out, extinguished. Nibbana is the state of extinguishment, state of blowing out. You could say state of peace in other contexts. And Nibbūti means someone who already had the peace. Nibbūti. I would like you to think about one very, very famous event that happened during Prince Siddhartha's time. Remember, when Prince Siddhartha, I think today is a very interesting day. We are talking on the eve of Vesak. And when Prince Siddhartha was traveling to some places actually, with Chandan, then there was one girl whose name goes by Kisagotami. She started looking at Prince Siddhartha and she said something very interesting. I think I have already given that under these notes. Let's go and see that. This one. She said to Prince Siddhartha this. Nibbutta nuna samata. Nibbuto nuna sopita. Nibbuta nuna sanari. Yasayang idisopati. A mother who had a son like this, Nibbuta nuna soma. Nibbuta nuna sopita. A father who had a son like this, like Prince Siddhartha. Nibbuta nona sonari, a woman who had a husband like this. Yasayang is certainly being content. Yasa. But my point here is that Nibbuta, Nibbuto, Nibbuta. This Pali word, this comes from Nibbana. Nibbuto or Nibbuta. What is this? Nibbuta means peace. That means before we attain Nibbana, we must have a certain peace in our life. That peace is also introduced with the past participle of the Nibbana. That means when you say Nibbana, you should first have your, what you call, peace in your secular life before you think about that extra mundane, transcendental kind of Nibbana. Right? That Nibbana must be there in the first place. So now, according to Kisagotami, Kisagotami was thinking every man should have this kind. Every person should have a peace in his or her life. Now, say for instance, if someone has a good mother, good father, good spouse, husband and wife, that is the starting point of peace. Right? And that is also called as Nibbūti, a different level of Nibbana, but it's not the higher Nibbana. But I mean, in order for us to understand Nibbana really well, we should have that peace in the first place. Nibbūti. Prince Siddhartha had it. That's what Kisagotami said as such. Now, the Pali word, let's go back, Nibbana. Now, there are many ways to look at it, but we understand from a Pali point of view, vana, va, to blow out. That means this comes from vana. And then you see that there are some substitutions that have been happening in Pali language. Vana means to blow, that means to extinguish. What to extinguish? What do you think about extinguishment? Then to extinguish, there must have been certain fires, isn't it? There must have had certain fires, right? And you see the fire brigade people come on and then try to extinguish a certain place where there's lots of fire, right? So there must have certain fires to be extinguished. What are the fires? Raga, dosa, moha. These are the fires. Or I would say, Kama tanha, Bhava tanha, Vibhava tanha create a lot of fires. These are the fires that are supposed to be extinguished by whatever the activity you are engaging in the Nibbana, right? So the English meaning extinguishment or blowing out refers to blowing out or extinguishing fires that have come from tanha. There are lots of fires that have come from tanha. Now, when somebody is very angry, when someone is too much into karma, they may be burning from fires. They are kilesa fires, tanha fires. So those are the fires that one has to extinguish, blow out in terms of the Nibbana. Okay. Now I'm going to quote a statement from Athanatiya Sutta, Dignika 32. Ye chapi nibbuta loke yatha bhutam vipassisu. Those who have attained Nibbana in the world, who have insight into things as they are. Now, what is the difference between us and somebody who has attained Nibbana? What could be the difference? A person who has attained Nibbana has a very grounded understanding about who we are and what we are supposed to do. But we are creating lots of I making, me making, and personalizing and personal identity and all that. So that is the main thing that we understand with somebody who has attained Nibbana. Now, Nibbuta means when someone on a secular level and on a transcendent level become peaceful and then finally attain Nibbana, that person usually understand the world as it is, not in a superficial, artificial way, how an unenlightened being understands. So Nibbuta, the Pali word Nibbuta, appears in this particular place, as you can see. Okay, what is Nibbana? The extinction of the three fires, I would say Raga, Dosa, Moha. When these fires are extinguished, released from samsara, the perpetual grasping activity of the mind, cycle of rebirth. So samsara is cut off, and then fires are completely blown out or extinguished, and person is in the permanent peace. Nibbana is the goal of the Noble Eightfold Path, which we discuss during many weeks of our class. Actually, the next class is going to be on the Noble Eightfold Path. I'm going to summarize, do kind of a review about the Noble Eightfold Path once again for the next week, if we have time. And the way how you're going to remove tanha, these tanhas, what you call kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha, is only by practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. That will help you to what you call reduce and then cut off the direction of the tanha. Two Nibbana states. Now, when we try to understand about Nibbana, there are two types of Nibbanic states that we have to understand. What are they? Sopadisesa and Nirupadisesa. What are they? Let's say someone attains Nibbana by following the Noble Eightfold Path, thereby successfully, reducing, dismantling the tanha. then going to attain Nibbana. How do we call that Nibbana? We call it Sopadisesa Nibbana. Why is it Nibbana with the remainder? What is left even at that point of someone who's at a Nibbana? This Panchakanda still with that person, isn't it? Now let's say Arahan Mahakassapa. Now the Pippali, young man Pippali becomes an Arahan. We call him as Arahan Mahakassapa. So the moment Arahan Mahakassapa, I would say the Pippali becomes an Arahan, then what's happening is that Arahan Mahakassapa attained the Sopadisesa Nibbana. But his physical body is still there, right? Isn't it? His physical body is still there. So that means, let's say Arahan Mahakassapa attained Nibbana. What do you think? Will he not get sick even after that? Will he not go through the different stages of decay? I would say, what do you call old age? They still have to. That means Nibbana has two stages, two states. So the first state is Sopadisesa. Now, let's say you are going to attain Nibbana in this life. You are coming to this one. Then only when you pass away, one day when you pass away, you die with this physical body with 5 aggregates are going to disintegrate. Then you are going to the next stage of the Nibbana. What is it called? Nirupadisesa, Nibbana without remain. I think you understood that. When you say I want to attain Nibbana, you have to go through 2 states of the Nibbana. The first one, you attain a Nibbana, but you are enjoying the full benefits of Nibbana only when you pass away. We call it Nirupadisesa Nibbana. Because until you pass away, until you die, you are carrying out this physical body. Still you are getting sick. Still you are going through old age. Still you are going through all the dukkha's in a different way. You won't look at it. You won't take it as an unenlightened being. But still you are going through. Right? Now say for instance, there was an Arahan called Arahan Losaka. Arahan Losaka. And this monk was an Arahan, but not getting food every day. And then he was a student of Arahan Sariputta. He found out that Arahan Losaka had done a bad karma in a previous life. The bad karma was he destroyed another monk's food in a past life. But he had practiced Dhamma. Out of jealousy, he destroyed, maybe he threw away some food of another monk. So Arahan Sariputta was very compassionate. He said, now it's like afternoon. So I'm going to go for Pindapata. Pindapata in the afternoon time. For, getting some ghee and some other sweets. And then he brought those food from the village. And then he said, I'm not going to give you the alms bowl. I'm going to feed you. Because if I give you the alms bowl, the food will be disappearing for the bad karma you did in a past life. What is this? Even you attain Nibbana, you have dukkha. You have to still go through. You will look at it differently. You won't be, you will not suffer from it. I mean, because Arahants have a very great mentality. They won't suffer. But still, you have to go through certain pain because you are carrying out this body. That is why only when you pass away as an Arahant, you will enjoy the full benefits of Nibbana. That's why I said there are 2 types of Nibbana, Sopadisesa and Nirupadisesa. See them? This part. Huh? This is also very interesting. Now, when you attain Nibbana, then there are many things happening within your mindset. The most important thing that's happening behind the Nibbana is Vimukti part. Vimukti means liberation. So this Vimukti means what is happening when you attain Nibbana. So there are two main things that are happening with regard to Vimukti. We call them as Cheto Vimukti and Panya Vimukti. I think I'm not going to explain all that depending on the time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a very simple understanding about it and read that. All right. Cheto Vimukti, Panya Vimukti. Now, why do people meditate? Let me ask you. I think you are attending retreat sometimes. You have been attending. You would love to attend. Why do people meditate? I mean, in terms of Satipatthana suttas and all those understandings. The Buddha said, we are supposed to practice meditation, Satipatthanas, to overcome covetousness, lobha, and then grief, domanassa, in regard to the internal world. So, if any one of you here has not practiced meditation to overcome those two, that meditation is incomplete. Kaya kayanupassī viharati, ātāpi sampajānu satimā vinaya loke abhicca domanassa. Vedanasu vedanasupassī viharati, ātāpi sampajānu satimā vinaya loke abhicca domanassa. Chitte chittanupassī, dhamme dhammanupassī. The same thing goes. That means we have to practice meditation to overcome greed and what we call domanassa. We call it grief in regard to this internal world. So now when you practice meditation, you are initially trying out certain meditations. What is the very famous meditation that a lot of people practice? They say samatha meditation, but we don't see samatha meditation as a practice in the Satipatthana Sutta. Basically, Buddha says Satipatthana is have to go to some Hindu meditation practices. Although we do see samatha at a certain point, but we see Satipatthana is the best. When you meditate, initially, you are trying to get an object for the meditation, isn't it? Let's say you are going to practice metta meditation. So when you practice metta meditation, you have to have some objects. What are the objects that you may take for the metta meditation? Yourself, your loved ones, other people, those are objects. Right? And finally, no objects. All living beings, how to put all them together. You are going to be universal, universalizing your meditation. So the Buddha says, behind the Nibbana, there are things happening. Vimukti is the most important thing that is happening behind Nibbana. So this Vimukti has Cheto Vimukti and Panya Vimukti. Cheto Vimukti means you have to first release you from your mind. Why? In order for us to stay happy, in order for us to overcome certain akusalas, we bring good kusala objects and then leave out the akusala objects. In that, we still have certain objects to the mind. But one day, in this practice, what you are doing is you are going to free yourself from your mind. We call it Cheto Vimukti. Let's see a couple of them, couple of ways to do that. All right. This one. You can see it here. Appamanya Cheto Vimukti. This is one type of, there are 6 types of Cheto Vimukti. Anything will be okay. Any Cheto Vimukti is okay depending on your character. What is Appamanya? Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. They are called Appamanya. Appamanya means illimitables. States of mind which have no limits. Let's say you are practicing Metta, you are practicing Karuna, you are practicing Mudita, you are practicing Upekka. Then what you are doing is that the more you practice Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka, maybe one of them, then what is happening is that at the end of that practice, you are going to free your mind from Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka as well. Isn't it? It's a very interesting thing because we normally start off our meditation by having an object. But one day, when you are very successful in the meditation, you will have no object. That's why the statement, uh, you know, is very popular. This one is very popular. You see, there is a meditation, but there is no meditate. There is an observation, but there is no observer. That means you are not creating another object in your meditation. So when someone is going to attain Nibbana, although that person takes a certain object at the beginning, but at the end of that successful, what you call meditation, that person is going to oneself, free oneself from the mind. Because we have a mind, all these problems are happening to us, isn't it? So initially what we do is we are going to save our mind from the bad guys, from the bad object. Then we are installing our mind with the kusala objects. But although we keep installing kusala objects into our mind, but one day this also can be a problem because every time we have to practice meditation, isn't it? To practice meditation, we have to always, bring kusala objects onto our mind. So mind has to be released by using one of the meditations. And now, when you liberate or when you free your mind through a meditation, then the next thing that is very important is panya vimukti. What is it? It is the final release from dukkha and the end of rebirth attained through the practice of insight vipassana. So I would call it this way. Now, while we are trying to free us from the mind, then the next challenge for us is to always keep us on to panya, isn't it? We have to always be wise, 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 wise. This can be a sort of problem to somebody one day because you always have to bring you to panya. Now, when you practice Noble Eightfold Path, panya is automatic at the end. But still, you have a certain challenge. You have to keep your practice going on. That's why the Buddha said, when you are attaining Nibbana, you are also freeing you from wisdom. You don't have to worry about wisdom again. It is like Arahants, how the Arahants are supposed to practice Sila. Are Arahants supposed to practice Sila? They are not deliberately practicing Sila. Their normal activities automatically Sila. They don't have to practice Sila by effort. Now, other unenlightened people, we have to practice Sila by effort. We should not kill, we should not steal, we should not sexually misbehave, we should not lie. It's an effort. By effort, we are trying to do. But Arahants don't have to worry. They are, by default, their actions are Sila. By default, they have panya. But for us, not by default, by effort, we have to create panya. That's why the Buddha said, behind Nibbana, if you go into Nibbana, study more about it, you see Vimukti, this liberation happens, which will lead us to Nibbana on two sides. One is we have to free us from the mind. We call it Cheto Vimukti. On the other hand, we have to free us from the wisdom. You cannot do it without freeing yourself from the mind. So Nibbana is such a very, I would say, substantial state of mind where you are freeing yourself from your own mind and then from the wisdom that you've been effortfully working out throughout many lifetimes, perhaps. And then there is another term, we call it Ubato Bhaga Vimukti. Now, there are people who are individual practicing Cheto Vimukti. Then when you practice Cheto Vimukti, you are attaining Panya Vimukti. And sometimes there may be some people, some very talented individuals who might be working on the both at the same time. We call them Ubato Bhaga Vimukti, freedom by mind and wisdom. I'm not going to explain a lot. Maybe it might be complicated to you, but just understand behind Nibbana, there is liberation thing that we have to understand. Liberation is Cheto Vimukti and Panya Vimukti. Perhaps Ubato Bhaga Vimukti as well. Okay, what is the connection of Anatta to Nibbana? Very interesting. What is anat? Now, there are English meanings that have been very, I would say, cryptic, difficult to understand. Now, we call it not self, not non-self, because we have a self, we use it in our normal life. But we know ultimately we can take it as a self because everything is not self. Now, one of the most radical things that we see in Buddhism is claiming that there is no self, is not self, actually. So, what is the connection between anatta to nibbana? When you attain nibbana, you are already you have already stopped creating personal identity. You have no personal identity anymore, which you are creating. Not even Sakka identity, but also all the fetters will be successfully subdued. And then you have brought them under your perfect wisdom. So anatta means when you come to that state of mind, you understand that although there is a conventional self, that I have to brush my teeth, I have to take a shower, I have to sleep, eat, I have to keep the company, but there's no that I cannot take myself as a self in the ultimate sense of understanding. I cannot take myself as someone who is lasting at the ultimate level of understanding. You have that understanding. That is called anatta. I think if we have anatta even in our unenlightened life, we can sort out a lot of problems. We are not going to argue with people. We are not going to blame other people. We are not going to insult. We understand each other very well. Let's say if other people are not doing that, but it's okay. We can't change other people very fast. Maybe not be able to change them ever. But we change. We change us. And then we change us through anatta. Understanding self exists at a conventional level, but at an ultimate level, there's no self I can take with any activity. So it is connected to Nibbana. So the nature of Nibbana is someone is moving from Atta to Anatta. So it is the main connection you see in someone who has attained Nibbana. Nibbana as the unconditioned. What's the Pali word, folks, for this? Unconditioned. We call it asankata. Right? Asankata. Sankata, asankata. Nibbana, state of mind when you are into Nibbana is the only unconditioned state of mind. All the rest is conditioned. Why is it? Let's say our life, our thoughts, they all are conditioned. They all are going through cause and effect. But here, when you are attaining Nibbana, there's no more conditioning happen. You have deconditioned the process. There's a permanent decondition that has happened within that state of mind. Because there's nothing to go from that point onwards. So Nibbana is the unconditioned. Nirodha Samapatti. This is interesting. I'm going to connect this to, let's go back. I'm going to connect this to, remember that I discussed two types of Nibbana? This one, this question. So, this is a Nibbana, Nirupada is a Nibbana. What is then Nirodha Samapatti? Nirodha Samapatti is like this. Now, there is an Arahant who has a Nibbana, or maybe the Samma Sambuddha, particularly an Arahant. This particular Arahant wants to feel the happiness that he attained as an Arahant, and then he wants to feel how it is like when I pass away. Because only when an Arahant passes away, Arahant can fully enjoy the full benefits of Nibbana. So then what is he doing is that he is going to temporarily withdraw Sanya and Vedana, perceptions and feelings. So he is going to what you call temporarily subdue, I would say withdraw oneself from Sanya and Vedana. Then he or she can feel the true happiness when they pass away as an arahant. That is called Nirodha Samapatti. Actually, in our life, we are going through a lot of problems because of our sanya and vedana. Sanya means perceptions that we have in the past, and then we are making sanya now, and we are making sanya for the future lives. So we are struggling with our own mental notes, own perceptions. Every time we are making notes, then that will create a certain state of feeling. So these arahants, they want to feel how is it like my happiness when I die as an arahant. So they are going to a state of jhana, we call it. It's called the ninth jhana, sanya, vedata, nirodha, or nirodha samapatti. So they want to feel how is it like. So it is a part of nibbana uh, that an arahant can feel if they want to. All right, finally, the nature of nibbana. When you attain nibbana, your past karma is spent, new karma no more rises. Their mind to future becoming is unattached. Their rebirth consciousness, your consciousness died, no more desire to relive. Those wise men fade out of samsara as the flame of this lamp. This precious jewel is Sangha. By this assertion of truth, may there be happiness. What is this? This is a stanza in the Ratana Sutta. You can see here, Kinang Puranang Navang Natti Sambhava Viratta Chitta Ayatike Bhavas Tekina Bija Aviruni Chanda Nibbanti Dhira Yathayang Padipo. Nibbana is similar to the lamp, the flame, what do you call? Flame of a lamp. When the flame is finished, we don't know where the flame went, which direction. You cannot say that. In the same way, you are finished in this samsaric world. And then Ratana Sutta clearly mentions the nature of Nibbana. So once again, to recap today's lesson, we have to understand that Nibbana is not only a state of the highest mind, but also there are a lot of Nibbanic moments we can create in our secular life. We normally call them as peaceful moments. Another Pali word for that is Nibbutta, past participle of Nibbana. And on the other hand, we discuss about two types of Nibbana. And then we also discuss about what are supposed to be done, what we call Chagu, Mukti, Patinissaggo, Anale, and these four activities regarding the Nibbana and how to understand Nibbana in that perspective. At the same time, we discuss about what we call what is happening behind when someone attains Nibbana. We call them as Cheta Vimukti and Panya. Cheta Vimukti means freeing your mind, and Panya Vimukti means freeing from wisdom. They all are necessary to attain Nibbana. Also, the connection to Anatta with Nibbana, why Nibbana is unconditioned, and what is Nirodha Samapatti, and the nature of Nibbana in terms of what is happening to someone who attained Nibbana. There's nothing going beyond. All right, I think we almost come to our 1 hour time. Any questions?
Bhante, maybe I can ask a question first.
Yes, please.
So, Bhante, you were talking earlier about the two Nibbana states, Nibbana with a remainder and Nibbana without remainder. Let us know how that applies to a lay person in terms of when a lay person attains this level of enlightenment and cannot remain as a householder anymore. So how does it work for a lay person? Thank you.
All right. So there are some stories where a lay person attains Nibbana and the lay person could not live as a lay person any longer after becoming arahant because an ordained life was the much needed thing at that point. And then normally that kind of a lay person who attained Nibbana in that short time passes away, maybe dies at that point. That's what we have seen. Like one of the very famous examples is Bahya Daruchiri. Bahya Daruchiri was a layman. He what happened to him? He was going on a journey on a ship, and then ship was wrecked in the middle of the sea. Then everybody passed away. He managed to come to the shore, and he started wearing some wooden made cloth, and then he started showing that he's an arahant. So one of the mothers in the previous life of him told him, "You are not an arahant. You are just claiming you are an arahant, and you should go see the Gautama Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, and learn how to become an arahant." So now I would say he's a fake arahant, fake arahant. So there were fake arahants at the Buddha's time. Like in some places, they call him self-claiming. And then he went to Savatthi. At that time, the Buddha was going for Pindapat. And he knew that, and he approached the Buddha. And then he asked from Buddha, "Bhante, can you tell me something? Can you explain some Dhamma to me?" Then he didn't give Dhamma to, because he was going for Pindapat. Buddha did not give any Dhamma to. Second time also he requested from the Buddha, "Bhante, can you give me some, maybe give me a Dhamma talk?" And third time also he asked. Then the Buddha was thinking, why he is asking so much? Then he knew, if I give a very short Dhamma thing to him now, he will become an arahant, and at the same time, he will be attacked by a cow who has a newly born baby, and he will pass away. It's going to be this kind of thing. So then he started giving a very, very short Dhamma thing. What was the Dhamma thing he gave? Ditte dittamatta, sute sutamatta, mute mutamatta, vinyate vinyate. Daruchiriya, when you see something, don't interpret what you see. Just understand, you see it only. Actually, this is the problem we have. When we see something, we are bringing our past experiences and what is happening now, what my parents talk about it, what your spouse talk about it. So you are making it a big mess at that point. When you see something, don't interpret. Just you see. Then when you hear something, just think that it's just a sound. I don't have to interpret about it. I didn't hear this so many years. And how come I heard it today? Who is this person? I want to write down his or her name, right? And also other things. When you understand something, just understand. When you think something, just think. You just thought about it. This is a very short Dhamma talk. I think the shortest Dhamma talk he gave to somebody on the way. What happened? He became an arahant. He became an arahant in a moment of time. This fake arahant became a real arahant. That's a little funny. Fake arahant became an arahant in a moment of time, because he had done the prerequisites in his samsaric journey. And then what happened? In a moment of time, he was attacked by a cow. He passed away. Then the Buddha said to other monks, this is not a normal lay person. He is an arahant. He was between an arahant and becoming a monk, but he was killed. So you have to cremate him and then put his relics inside the pagoda. They did that in a tupa, pagoda. So this example says that if you become an arahant as a lay person, you must make the move to become an ordained monk. If that happens all of a sudden. If not, in this example, the person died. So this is how we have to understand that. Definitely, it's going to be a moving to becoming a monk or a nun. I think we got a question here. Bhante, is the three types of vimukti, Cheto, Panya, Upato, Bhaga, are they by choice? I think they are not by choice. They are by your skill. They are by your talent. Some can work on the Panya Vimukti as the first approach. But some normally people have to start from Cheto Vimukti, then Panya Vimukti. Sometimes some people, they can do the both at the same time. So it's more to the skill, your sansaric skill. Although you may like it, but you are not able to do it. Now, how many things in our life we like, but we can't do? Right? Everybody wants to attain Nibbana, but just because they want to, they are not able to do it, right? Because they have not sansarically have been developing certain paramitas in order for them to move to that level. So it's by the sansaric skill, your kusala, the level of your paramitas, where you have a lot of kusalas. I think until someone comes up with a question, I would like to touch this. This is a very interesting thing to discuss. Now, if you look at the teachings of the Buddha, you can see that a lot of people, they attain Nibbana by listening to a Dhamma talk, isn't it? Lots of people, when it comes to their own liberation, their Nibbana, that Nibbana was made happen by listening to a Dhamma talk. This is what we call as Parato Gosha. But there are others who had to practice a lot of meditation, separate meditations. Now, even you could say by listening to a Dhamma talk, it's also kind of meditation, because you are paying more attention to what's happening over there. So there are many ways to attain Nibbana. Now, I think I already discussed with you a long time ago about one sutta, Attakanagar Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya, where Buddha says there are 11 ways to attain Nibbana as a meditation. But there were others who simply listened to a Dhamma talk and their level of understanding was mature enough. And then they were able to understand their life and what's happening. So don't think that you always have to go and do a hard kind of meditation. You may do it by choice, but your sansaric kusala level may be at a different level. So listening to a Dhamma talk from whoever the Bhante, whoever the Dhamma speak, I encourage you to listen to whoever Dhamma talk. You feel that you are understanding more and more, it can really help. At the same time, try to do a normal meditation where you will understand more. Because most of the people, they became arahants by understanding life. Now you think about this person, Bahya Daruchiri, the fake arahant. The fake arahant who never went to a temple, who was faking that he's an arahant. He never meditated. Was he? He never meditated. He went on a sea journey. The ship was wrecked, and he started showing people, I'm an arahant, give me some requisites. But just because of that piece of advice, he was able to understand life in that short piece of Dhamma. So that means, I'm not saying that meditation as a separate practice is not important. I think we all have to meditate. It's good. It's very peaceful. But in order to attain Nibbana, an understanding of the life is the most important thing. That understanding comes from your own life circles. You take an example of Patachara, her life, Kesadutami, her life, Rajumala, her life, Angulimala's life, and all these people's lives, even Alavaka's life, they all came from different backgrounds. But when the Buddha gave Dhamma talks, they went back to their life, the life that they've been spending, and they could instantly understand certain things in their life, and then could elevate their mind to a different level. Right? I got some questions. The two types of Nibbana, they call Sopadisesa and Anupadisesa or Nirupadisesa. How does that fit into the phrase Asesa Viraga Nirodha? All right. Now, what the Buddha talks about with regard to the third noble truth is a cumulative, is a combination of these two states of nibbana. It does not say one type of nibbana. That means I would say sopadisesa nirupadisesa nibbana, the what do you call, the both make up the third noble truth, because it says there's no next life and there's no remainder. So it talks about the both states of nibbana as a whole. But when you further discuss, when you further learn about the nibbana, you will see sopadisesa is the first stage, and then the nirupadisesa is the next stage. All right. Please advise what we as lay people should do or reflect on Vesak Day. I think we celebrate a lot. We are going to say that we have this particular day, so we're going to celebrate. We do a lot of things, floating trips. I mean, what to do on a Vesak Day is to think about, do a revisit about your practice. The best way to respect the Buddha is how much or how far, probably, how close are you to the practice? How close are you to the Nibbana? So, reflection about your own Dhamma practice as a offering to the Buddha is the best thing that you should do on the Vesak Day. I mean, you can still attend the temple activities, vihara activities, they are community stuff, there's no wrong. But the most important thing is do a deep self-check-in about your Dhamma practice on this day as a respect to the Buddha. Is it wrong to say the Buddha passed away? Someone said the Buddha never died, but no, Buddha passed away as a living person. He passed away. We call it, we don't say he passed away, we call it his great passing, Mahaparinibbana. But he passed away as a normal person. But his message has not passed away. So we are still learning out of it. So maybe someone can say Buddha is still living in terms of the teachings, but Buddha as a person had already passed away. We understand that from a point of the nature of all the sankharas. Right? Buddha also had a normal body with other some special things, but he already passed away as a person.
Thank you, Bhante. Bhante, we have a question from Sister Joyce. She asks, can someone attain Nibbana without Vimutti? Thank you.
No, attaining Nibbana is Vimutti. These are not two things. Now, I will explain to you. When someone attaining Nibbana, behind that particular process, Vimutti is what is happening. Now, in order for you to attain Nibbana, you are first doing a meditation, normally Cheto Vimutti. Somebody might listen to a Dhamma talk. That Dhamma talk will be itself the meditation. Now, take for instance, Bahya Daruchirya's example. Bahya Daruchirya never meditated. He was a trader. Then he was a fake Arahant. But then he became a real Arahant. But what happened? Because he has developed his thoughts, his mind to a level by which he can understand the truth of his life. Right? So, Nibbana and Vimutti are not two things. When you attain Nibbana means you have liberated yourself. Liberation part is Vimutti. You initially liberate you from the Cheto, from the mind. Then you liberate from the wisdom. Actually, we have to liberate from wisdom also. Otherwise, we have to by effort practice. Am I wise enough? Today, I think I was not wise. Why? It's not by default. It's by effort. That's why when you attain Nibbana, another Vimutti is happening behind the scene. That's called Panya. Cheto Vimutti, Panya Vimutti are what make up the Nibbana. So they are not separate stuff. Sorry, Joyce, I missed that question. Right. Any other questions about today? Let me, I think, add a couple of things to this last question here. Is it wrong to say the Buddha passed away? Actually, if you look at the historical Buddha, you learn the Buddhist history, there was a certain sect called Mahasangika. Maybe I'm going to type it their name. Huh? If you are curious about, you can search their name, Mahasangika sect. Huh? Mahasangika sect. These are the first kind of sect monks who said that we are Mahayana. This is the beginning of Mahayana. They said to others, Buddha was not a normal person. He is an extraordinary person. And he doesn't eat, he doesn't walk. He is an extraordinary person. So, and a thought like Buddha never passed away comes from Mahasangika thought. Actually, Mahasangikas have the same idea. But we, from the early Buddhism, if you look at early Buddhist tradition, Buddha said, I am a normal person. I am not having the aura all the time. I'm not showing people I'm the Buddha. There were many examples where Buddha didn't show that he is the Buddha. Can you remember those incidents? Remember Arahan Mahakassapa's story? There was a lady who used to give dana to Arahan Mahakassapa. I think all of you know Arahan Mahakassapa and the Shakyamuni Buddha are very same, alike in terms of looks. So one day, Shakyamuni, the Buddha, came on that way for Pindapan. So that lady was very happy. Ah, the monk I know is coming today early. I'm going to give the food to him, dana. Then she offered. Then after a while, she is seeing another monk is coming on the way. And she understood, oh, I think I made a mistake. I have to run to that previous monk because I don't have any other food. I think she ran to the previous monk. Actually, he's the Buddha. She said, Bhante, I think I gave you the food. I supposed to give the food to the monk who is coming after you. So can I take the food? And the Buddha actually gave the bowl to her, alms bowl, and then she took all the food, and then she offered the food to the Arahant Mahakassapa. Now think about it. If the lady had known that the previous monk was the Buddha, she could have never given to another monk at that point. That means Buddha was living a very normal life, like a normal monk. Right? He was a normal person. So if he was a normal person, he must pass away. So he already passed away. But we don't call his passing away as passing away. We call it Mahaparinibbana, the great passing away, just to respect him. Otherwise, he passed away. The message is still with us. That's a different thing.
Bhante,
Yes, brother. Yeah.
Bhante, yes. May I know the name of the sutta where the story of Bhante just mentioned where uh, Araham, the Sapa,
Mahakassapa story.
Buddha look so similar that they devotees mistaken them.
I think I have to find it out, look it up, and then I know the story. Yeah, I will share with you later.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Right, we have probably a couple minutes, maybe 2-3 minutes. If anybody has any questions, you can type in. On the Vesak Eve, I think I would like to add another thing here. Till someone of you, okay, there's another question, but I will answer that question after this. I don't know whether you can remember. This is given also in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, Digha Nikaya. The Buddha declared that he would pass away in 3 months. All right, he would pass away in 3 months. So all the monks, most of the unenlightened monks, they started to feel very, what do you call, grieving about it. And they saw one monk who was not grieving about this news. His name was called Dhamma. What was his name? Dhamma. I think this is a very good answer to the person who asked me a question. Please advise what we as lay people should do, reflect on Vesakti. Yeah? And this is the perfect answer to that. So then they were worried about why this particular monk is not worried about the Buddha's passing away in 3 months. So they reported to the Buddha. It's a very tiny, trivial thing, you know. Buddha is passing away. That they are quoting about one monk. Then they said to the Buddha, Bhante, there is one monk who is not worried about your passing away. I think we are not happy about it. They are unenlightened monks. The Buddha knows what is going on, but he didn't want to tell the other monks the answer. Okay, can you ask him to come here? Then they went to Bhante Dhamma. Buddha is calling you. You have to go there. Then he went. Then the Buddha asked in front of all of them, what are these monks saying about you? Then he said, okay, yesterday or today I learned that the Buddha is passing away in 3 months. So I thought I need to do the best respect to the Buddha. The best respect to my understanding is I need to attain Nibbana before you pass it. And then Buddha said, sadhu, 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 3 times. He said there are 2 people who are respected in that sutta, Mahaparinibbana Sutta. One type of people is, one group of people is, who are offering me flowers, garlands, incense, joss sticks, food all the time. They are only doing that and go home. Another kind of people do the, what you call, patipatti puja. That's honest. Patipatti means they are trying hard to understand what I have been giving to them. And on another note, what we understand is I didn't become a Buddha just to get flowers from people, just to get garlands and joss sticks. Just for that, you can respect so. And the best way to respect me, now we talk about Vesakti, is to deepen my Dhamma practice. Where am I in my Dhamma practice? And he appreciated Bhante Dhamma. That's a very, now this does not mean that people who are going to temple to offer flowers is a bad thing. You have to do it. You all have to do it. Respect the Buddha. But the most important thing is not that one. While we are doing that, we must be more serious about our practice. We have to go in tandem, but more to the practice. Otherwise, Vesakti is just a celebration. And there's nothing checking with our Dhamma practice. So I think that's very important. We can take the last question over here. Oh, 2 questions. Give some examples of condition phenomena. Okay. Condition phenomena means when there is anything that has arisen as a matter of conditioning. Like I was born from my mother and father. They were born out of their mother and father. All this is internet, laptop, everything. We are all connected with certain cause and effect. So condition phenomena means whatever the thing that is made up from something else. So they all are condition phenomena, sankharas. Then Nibbana has nothing like that. There is no conditioning happening from something. Nibbana is not what you call a result of anything. It is a deconditioned, unconditioned. Because if it is conditioned, it must lead to another condition. Does Nibbana create another conditioning? No. That is the end of condition process. Last one. Will these actions take place sequentially, namely Chaga leading to Patinissagga leading to Mukti, Analaya? No. These are simultaneous actions we have to practice. We have to practice Chaga, Patinissagga, Mukti, Analaya simultaneously as much as we can. I think we almost come to the time of sharing, transferring, isn't it? So, Sonia?
Yes, Bhante. Thank you very much, Bhante. Please lead us, Bhante, in the dedication and sharing of merits. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sonia. On the Vesak Eve day, you've been contemplating about the third noble truth, what we call Dukkha Nirodha Ariya Satya. You've been learning about Nibbana, Nibbutthi, Nibbana, and Nibbutthi, and two types of Nibbana. So, Padisisa Nibbana, Anupadisisa Nibbana. And you also learn about the Vimutti part, which is behind the Nibbana, call it as Cheto Vimutti, freeing the mind, and then Panya Vimutti, freeing us from the wisdom, and Ubatoba Vimutti, freeing from the mind and the wisdom at the same time. These are sansaric talents. So how they're going to work is depending on how much you are sansarically talented in doing those things one by one, or maybe simultaneously. May all these good karmas you've been making today be transferred to all the departed ones who passed away in the name of all of you. May they be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me nyati nang huntu sukita huntu nyatayo. Idam me nyati nang huntu sukita huntu nyatayo. Idam me nyati nang huntu sukita huntu nyatayo. May Deva, Naga, Mahitika also share all these good karmas. May they be well and happy. May they protect and bless all of us for good health, quality of life, prosperity, and safety. In particular, may they bless our Dhamma journey. A very interesting day to think about, rethink about our Dhamma journey, the status of our Dhamma journey, the quality of our Dhamma journey, the Vesak Eve and Vesak Day tomorrow. May Deva Naga Mahitika also be well and happy, finally attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavatacha ammehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya akasattha chibummatta deva naga mahitika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhang lokasasana chirang rakkhang tudesanam chirang rakkhang tumang paranti chirang rakkhang tutvam sadanti. At the same time, Dhamma journey cannot be a solo journey at all times. We need to be surrounded by Kalyana Mittas to make our Dhamma journey to the next level. So being surrounded by Kalyana Mittas is a state of happiness and then success in our Dhamma journey. May we be in the company of Kalyana Mittas till we attain Nibbana. Thinking thus, we're going to make a wish. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamu satang samagamu yava Nibbana patya. Finally, may all the good karmas which we've been making today on this Vesak Eve be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana Siddhisse Nichang Vaddha Pachaino Chattaro Dhamma Vaddhanti Ayuvanno Sukham Balam Ayudarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Iminati Samichatu Sadhu. With that, our Sutta discussion is over for today. Thank you, Sonia and everybody for the